Sweet Auburn, loveliest village of the plain, where health and plenty cheered the labouring swain, where smiling spring its earliest visit paid, and parting summer's ling'ring blooms delayed. Dear lovely bowers of innocence and ease, seats of my youth, when every sport could please. How often have I loitered o'er thy green, where humble happiness endeared each scene. How often have I paused on every charm, the sheltered cot, the cultivated farm, the never-failing brook, the busy mill, the decent church that topped the neighbouring hill, the hawthorn bush with seats beneath the shade, for talking age and whispering lovers made. How often have I blessed the coming day, when toil remitting lent its turn to play, and all the village train, from labour free, let up their sports beneath the spreading tree, while many a pastime circled in the shade, the young contending as the old surveyed, and many a gambol frolicked o'er the ground, and sleights of art and feats of strength went round. And still as each repeated pleasure tired, succeeding sports the mirthful band inspired. The dancing pair that simply sought renown, by holding out to tire each other down. The swain, mistrustless of his smutted face, while secret laughter tittered round the place. The bashful virgin's sidelong looks of love, the matron's glance that would those looks reprove. These were thy charms, sweet village. Sports like these, with sweet succession taught even toil to please. These round thy brows their cheerful influence shed. These were thy charms. But all these charms are fled. Ill fares the land, to hastening ills a prey, where wealth accumulates and men decay. Princes and lords may flourish or may fade. A breath can make them as a breath has made. But a bold peasantry, their country's pride, when once destroyed, can never be supplied.
ऐ प्यारे ऑबर्न, ऐ मैदानों की हसीन बस्ती, जहाँ सेहत, खुशहाली और मेहनत की थी मस्ती, जहाँ बहार सबसे पहले खुशियाँ लेकर आती और जाते हुए मौसम गर्मा की महक देर तक रह जाती। ऐ मासूम सुकून और सादगी के हसीन आशियानों, ऐ मेरे बचपन की खुशियों और खेलों के ज़मानों। मैं कितनी बार तेरी सब ज़मीन पर फिरा करता था और हर सादा मंजर मेरे दिल को मसरूर करता था। कभी छोटे से घर, कभी लहलहाते खेत को देखता, कभी बहती नदी और चलती चक्की पर जा ठहरता। पहाड़ी पर खड़ा गिरजा कितना दिलकश दिखाई देता और झाड़ियों का साया सबको राहत पहुंचाता। वहीं बुजुर्ग बैठकर माजी के किस्से सुनाते, वहीं मोहब्बत करने वाले आहिस्ता आहिस्ता बातें बनाते। मैं आने वाले खुशियों भरे दिन का मुंतज़िर रहता, जब मेहनत से फुर्सत मिलती और खेल का वक्त आता। गांव के सब लोग अपने कामों से आज़ाद हो जाते और फैले हुए दरख्त के नीचे खुशियां मनाते। नौजवान खेलों में अपनी कुव्वत आजमाते, जबकि बुजुर्ग उन्हें मुस्कुराती हुई देखती जाती। कोई दौड़ता, कोई कूदता, कोई करतब दिखाता, कोई अपनी महारत और ताकत का जौहर आजमाता। एक खेल खत्म होता तो दूसरा शुरू हो जाता और खुशियों का शोर हर दिल को ताजगी पहुंचाता।
रक्स करने वाले देर तक मुकाबला जारी रखते, थक कर भी अपनी शोहरत की ख्वाहिश में कदम ना रोकते। किसी नौजवान के धुएं से काले चेहरे को देखकर लोग चुपके चुपके हंसते, अपनी हंसी छुपाते। शर्मीली दोशीज़ा मोहब्बत भरी निगाह डालती और संजीदा माँ उसे खामोशी से टोक डालती। ऐ प्यारे गांव, यही तो तेरी असल रानाइयाँ थीं, यही मुसलसल खुशियाँ मेहनत को भी राहत बनाती थीं। तेरे सायादार गोशों में मुसर्रत का बसेरा था, हर सादा दिल के अंदर खुशियों का उजाला था। मगर अफसोस, अब वो तमाम दिलकशियाँ मिट गई हैं। वो रौनकें, वो मोहब्बतें और वो खुशियाँ छिन गई हैं। इस सरजमीन का अंजाम यकीनन तबाही होता है, जब दौलत बढ़ती जाए और इंसान बर्बाद होता है। शहजादे और अमीर कभी उरूज पाएं, कभी मिट जाएं। वो एक हुक्म से बने और एक हुक्म से हट जाएं। लेकिन मेहनती किसान तो अपने वतन की शान होते हैं, वही सरजमीन की ताकत और कौम की जान होते हैं।
जब एक बार ये बाहिम्मत तबका तबाह कर दिया जाए, तो फिर इसका खला कभी दोबारा पुर नहीं हो पाए.
The poet lovingly remembers Auburn as the most beautiful village in the countryside. Its hardworking farmers enjoyed good health and prosperity. Spring arrived early, while the flowers of summer remained for a long time. The village was a peaceful and innocent place where the poet had spent his happy youth. He often wandered across its green fields and admired its small cottages, cultivated farms, flowing stream, busy mill, hilltop church, and shady hawthorn bush. Elderly people gathered under its shade to talk, while young lovers met there privately.
The poet recalls how eagerly he welcomed the days when the villagers could rest from their work. After finishing their daily labor, the entire village community gathered beneath a large tree to enjoy different games and activities. Young people competed with one another, while the older villagers watched them. Some performed playful movements, clever tricks, and displays of physical strength. Whenever one activity became tiring, another began, keeping the cheerful crowd entertained.
Some villagers danced for so long that each pair tried to outlast the other and win admiration. A young countryman, unaware that his face was stained with soot, became the subject of secret laughter. A shy young woman gave loving sideward glances, while an older woman looked at her disapprovingly. Such innocent scenes, games, and social gatherings were the true attractions of Auburn. They brought continuous happiness and made even hard work seem pleasant. Sadly, all these joys and attractions have now disappeared.
The poet warns that a country moves towards destruction when wealth becomes concentrated in the hands of a few, while ordinary people suffer and decline. Princes and wealthy lords may rise or fall because people of their rank can easily be created or replaced. However, hardworking and courageous farmers are the real strength and pride of a nation. Once this independent farming community is destroyed, it can never be fully restored or replaced.
What is the central idea of the poem?
The poem presents the beauty, simplicity, and communal happiness of traditional village life. It also mourns the destruction of rural communities caused by the concentration of wealth and the displacement of hardworking farmers. The poet believes that peasants are the true strength of a nation.
How does the title reflect the subject of the poem?
The title refers to Auburn, a once prosperous and joyful village that has become deserted. The poet recalls its former beauty and contrasts it with its present emptiness. Therefore, the title expresses both the physical abandonment of the village and the loss of its social life.
How does the poet describe the former beauty and prosperity of Auburn?
The poet describes Auburn as the loveliest village of the plain, where people enjoyed health and plenty. Spring arrived early, and the flowers of summer remained for a long time. Its cottages, farms, stream, mill, church, and shady trees created a peaceful and attractive rural landscape.
What memories of his youth does the poet associate with Auburn?
The poet remembers wandering over the village green and enjoying its simple sights. He recalls the cottages, cultivated farms, flowing brook, busy mill, and hilltop church. These memories fill him with affection and nostalgia because Auburn was the place of his youthful happiness.
How does the poet use visual imagery in the poem?
The poet uses expressions such as the sheltered cot, the cultivated farm, the never-failing brook, and the spreading tree to create clear pictures in the reader's mind. This visual imagery allows readers to imagine the village's natural beauty, buildings, and social activities. It makes Auburn appear peaceful and alive.
Explain the personification in smiling spring and parting summer.
Spring is described as smiling, as if it were a happy person, while summer is shown as a departing guest. These are examples of personification because human qualities are given to seasons. They make nature appear friendly and closely connected with the villager's happiness.
What is the effect of the apostrophe in Sweet Auburn, loveliest village of the plain? The poet directly addresses Auburn as if the village were a living person, capable of hearing him. This literary device is called apostrophe. It expresses his deep love, emotional attachment, and sorrow over the village's destruction. Identify examples of alliteration and explain their effect.
Examples of alliteration include humble happiness, labor-free, and sports beneath the spreading tree. The repetition of initial consonant sounds gives the lines rhythm and musicality. It also emphasizes the happiness, freedom, and liveliness of the village community.
How does the poet contrast Auburn's past with its present?
In the past, Auburn was healthy, prosperous, and full of social activity. The villagers worked together and enjoyed games, dancing, and conversation. In the present, however, all these charms have disappeared, as expressed in the line, "But all these charms are fled."
How does the tone of the poem change?
The poem begins in a loving, cheerful, and nostalgic tone as the poet recalls Auburn's beauty and his youthful memories. It then becomes sorrowful when he describes the disappearance of the village's attractions. Finally, the tone becomes critical and warning as he condemns the accumulation of wealth and the destruction of the peasantry.
What do the village games and gatherings reveal about rural life?
The games, dances, and gatherings show that the villagers lived as a close and united community. They balanced hard work with healthy recreation and shared happiness. Their enjoyment was simple, innocent, and based on human relationships rather than material wealth.
Explain the lines, "Ill fares the land, to hastening ills a prey, where wealth accumulates and men decay."
These lines mean that a country moves towards destruction when wealth becomes concentrated in the hands of a few people, while ordinary citizens become poorer and weaker. Material prosperity has no real value if human beings suffer. The poet criticizes economic inequality and social injustice.
What does the bold peasantry symbolize?
The bold peasantry symbolizes hard-working, independent, and courageous farmers. They produce food, preserve rural traditions, and form the moral and economic foundation of the country. That is why the poet calls them their country's pride.
What is the rhyme scheme and poetic form of the extract?
The poem is mainly written in heroic couplets, which are pairs of rhyming lines composed in iambic pentameter. Its rhyme scheme is AA, BB, CC, DD, and so on. The regular rhythm and rhyme create musicality while giving dignity and seriousness to the poet's ideas.
What social and moral message does the poet communicate?
The poet warns that the pursuit of wealth can destroy villages, communities, and traditional ways of life. A nation cannot remain strong if it sacrifices ordinary, hardworking people for the benefit of the rich. True national prosperity depends on human welfare, social justice, and the protection of rural communities.